everyone, welcome back to JP WHU TV. It's nice to see you. I hope you're keeping well. This is another mini-series. We did something very similar with Tony last season, around about this time last year, actually, where we go into the positional play for West Ham United, where we look at all the positions. This is going to be a three episode mini-series. This episode, we're going to be focusing on defence. So we're going to be talking about what the players are that we have available in each position, and also the fact if what positions we feel need to be reinforced. So by all means, guys, put your comments in the comment section below. And as you can see from the board around here as well, we've got a guest which I'll be introducing, making his debut on this channel, which I'll be introducing in the next couple of minutes. But in the meantime, guys, as always, this video is sponsored by the channel sponsor 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase some really nice retro gear, guys, as you can see from the icon that's up here, along with Admiral and Umbro track jackets, polo shirts, sweatshirts and t-shirts, so go check those out. And any purchases you make through the link in the description below, the commission that the channel would normally be getting, as always, I'll be sending on to the charity Iron Supporting Food Banks. They're based in the Newham area, and they're helping those in the Newham area and the Essex County and further afield for that matter, as they're currently supporting 37 separate food banks at the time of this recording. So guys, go grab yourself a really nice retro shirt. You'll be saving yourself a few quid in comparison to the club shop, as we've mentioned many times beforehand, and you'll be helping those the less fortunate than you and I to put food on their tables in these very difficult few years we've been suffering. So yeah, let's crack on. Let's introduce the guest. He's the housemate, and you could call the other half of Dennis Watling. But yeah, he's ready. This is Lawrence. Lawrence, nice to see you, mate. How are you keeping?
Hey John, I'm well, thank you very much.
Good.
Better before I started thinking about being Dennis's other half.
I've only put it in there so it pisses him off when he watches this, to be fair. But yeah, just quickly, mate, before we jump into it, just introduce yourself and tell us how you got into West Ham.
Yeah, hello. My name is Lawrence. As JP says, I know Dennis. If you guys know Dennis, I got into West Ham, crikey, at a really bad time. I started following us. The Zola season really heavily. That's when I started going to games, and then obviously Grant after that and relegation. Had some time off not going for a little while, and then got back into it, meeting you guys. And if your viewers know Bill, I generally sit up with him.
Good, yeah. So before we actually crack into it a little bit, mate, let us know what you're thinking about finally having some silverware in our lifetime.
Are you talking? You must be talking about beating Spurs today. No, our cup final. Well, bloody hell, JP. I mean, I'm still floating on it. To be perfectly honest with you, it's obviously well, you didn't make it out either. I was very jealous of everyone that got to make it out to Prague, and still am a bit. But being there for that parade the day after, I think, was just such an incredible day. And might be the kind of thing that's only once in a lifetime. Although let's hope not. Let's see how this window goes. But yeah, just still fantastic, mate. Loving it.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And I'm still really massively buzzing that we've got, that we were, was 100,000 people in Stratford when it came to the town hall.
The numbers are crazy. Yeah, I think the police even said 2 at the end, but never trust them.
Yeah. Well, it's the Met, but yeah, you never know. You never know. But yeah, it's certainly been. To be honest with you, I'm looking forward to the Chelsea game because that atmosphere is going to be unreal, absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump onto it. So yeah, so in your opinion, because I'll obviously give mine at the end of it. On there, yeah, let's talk about your thoughts on the goalkeepers, and because obviously we've got Areola, it's that you signed for us permanently last season. His contract runs out on June 27th. Fabianski and also Anang, for that matter, both of those two. Their contracts run out apparently by the end of June next year. There's also, there's Hoegi, however the bloody hell you pronounce it, but he hasn't really had that much of a run. So we're looking at what, as far as transfermarket.co.uk is referring to, the senior squad. So do you feel that we've got a decent goalkeeper options there, or do you think we need to reinforce in the summer?
I mean, I think we do have good goalkeeper options there. I'm one of those people that was really expecting Areola to start in the league last season, and was quite surprised that he didn't. I think Fabianski had a reasonable season. I wouldn't say it was exceptional, and I think Areola had a reasonable performance in the Conference League. I think at sometimes they both made outstanding saves and had incredible games, and I think at some points they were to blame for goals that went in. Should have played better. I do rate Areola. I think he's a good keeper. I think he's young, and I think Fabianski is old. So what I almost wouldn't mind seeing this season is a reversion of what's been going on the last couple of seasons. I'd quite like to see Areola in the league, and I'd quite like to see Fabianski in the cup. And I think, barring injuries, you've got two solid goalkeepers there. As for the other young lad, I know very little about him other than did I see him make a terrible? Was this him in goal? One of the friendlies
The
last week.
Brentford one, yeah, when it bounced
Horrible
off his hand,
mistake,
yeah.
like the kind of thing that I would do if I was in goal. But yeah, no, that's pretty much all I've seen of him. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, mate, as I say, we've got Fabianski's contracts up basically this time next year, as is Anang's. So personally, I agree with you. Fabianski needs to be the second choice for the majority of the season. There will probably be games where he's called upon. I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's the first choice goalkeeper for the first home game against Chelsea. But you never know. You never know. But yeah,
No,
but as
I
I
wouldn't
say,
be surprised either.
I mean, looking at the future. If we, you could say Heregi could be the backup for next season, but I would bring somebody in now. I really would.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. I don't know. We've seemed to have had a number of young goalkeepers over the years that have, recent years that have never managed to break through. So whether you'd go for that or whether you'd look for someone a little bit older, but then you've got Fabian. I just don't know how many goalkeepers do you need. Now we've got a subs bench where we don't have to field three of them. I think I'd risk it, JP, a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no,
Wouldn't spend any money there.
yeah, no, it's there's decent arguments either way, but I'm guarantee you this time next year, mate, we'll be having exactly the same conversation about now we should have done it. We should have done it. Okay, so turning to the left back position, Emerson, whose contract doesn't run out for another couple of years, and 3 years really, June 26, and Aaron Creswell, who as we know signed his contract extension. Now you can also argue for this position that we could be putting Ben Johnson in there as well, because obviously he made his debut against Man City at that position. But again, at the same time of Creswell, at the time of this recording, he hasn't signed a new contract. He's wanting, and looks like he wants more wages for a more established player, even though the club doesn't think he is. So basically, this time next year, as it stands at the moment, we'll be going into the 24-25 season, mate, with one left back.
Yes.
So not to sway you of opinion in any shape or form with that previous sentence, but do you feel that now is the time to reinforce, or wait until maybe January, for example?
I mean, this is the same old West Ham, isn't it? This is a problem position for about 30 years at this point, I think, fullbacks. Yeah, I think you do have a bit of an issue. Cresswell has been, I would say, generally actually pretty fantastic these last couple of seasons after a couple of pretty dull ones, if not dire, a few years ago. The last couple of years, I think he's been playing really well. But again, time is not on his side. He's got a sweet left boot, but I don't see him racing up and down the touchline doing overlaps for ever and ever. Emerson, I mean, in parts he can look magnificent, but I do wonder about him whether he's a slightly flashy Masuaku. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly where you're going with it, mate. We've said it before. I've said it many times on this
Right.
channel as well, that he's a Masuaku 2.0. What I will counteract that with was, ever since the Arsenal home game, and more specifically the Conference League final, he's been outstanding. It really, really has.
Phenomenal. Yeah, and this is it. I mean, I guess it's all about how you play him. I mean, that said, he hasn't. What Masuaku did used to do is every time the ball got into the box on that side, you knew it was going to be a penalty. And I don't think Emerson's given away one of those yet. I also can't remember any massive defensive howlers that he's had. So it might be, I don't know, a bit of a stereo. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair on this guy just because he doesn't look the part of a left back. But yeah, I mean, I think you do have to do something. I think both fullback positions. We're going to be talking. I think that's the real area in this part of the pitch that we always seem to need to keep re-examining. So yeah, I would look at bringing someone in, and I certainly wouldn't depend upon Ben Johnson. Yeah, I don't know whether you want to talk about him now or when we get to right back, because which is more
Well,
appropriate, right?
we're going to talk about it straight afterwards, mate. So again, just looking at it,
Fantastic. All right then.
Both Soufal and Johnson's contracts, as the time of this recording, according to Transfer Market, before anybody has a go at me in the comments, that's both of them are going to be out of contract by this time next year. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's two positions that we've always had conversations with ever since we lost Luke Neal. Really, I think that's the last
Mhm.
decent right back. I know there's going to be people saying we're going to have a bit of a
People are
joke
going to be
about it.
screaming Zabaleta.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he was decent, but he was only with
Who
us
I would
for
say I'd give it him. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. But you know, as a long term project, he was a
Sure.
short term signing, and I loved him
Hmm.
for the 2 seasons that he was with us.
Hmm.
Very good player, very good player. But yeah, again, so I guess the answer is unanimous from both positions for the wing back positions that both of them need to be reinforced as quickly as possible.
I would say so. But Sufal, I think, is an interesting one because he had a dire start to the last season, didn't he, really? And then picked it up towards the end. And I think he's just one of those players that everybody loves, and quite rightly so. Pictures of him taking the bus. And both of those Czech lads are just very difficult to not want around your club, aren't they? So, yeah, he stays for me. Johnson, to finish my thought on him, is nailed on to go to whatever team gets relegated next year, I think. Who that will be, I don't quite know, but whoever buys him, watch out for him. Not because necessarily I think he's a bad player, and again, he's the kind of player I think you want in a squad because he just seems to be such a lovely young lad. But he did nothing last season, and at times he looked quite dangerously bad. Stick him around, give him another chance. But if you're talking about the last year of someone's contract and you can make a bit of money, then is what it is.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, I don't like to say that people disappoint me, but in terms of football, Johnson has because when he not just when he made his debut against City as we just talked about, um, for a lot of the last few seasons, he's shown really good glimpses of what his potential can be. But
Yeah,
also at the same point, like Liverpool, for example, last season just gone, he just was not strong enough. Was at fault for you could argue two of those goals, especially the goals at Anfield.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
And,
it's
and I have to say, but definitely glimpses, but it never really sort of got too exciting, did he? And talking about sort of prospects on the wing, and it sounds silly to say because I think the guy's only played in friendlies or like something else, but someone who actually like you watch and you think, God, that's exciting. He could be a prospect. Is that young Ollie Scarles?
yeah.
Which might sound silly because you're talking about Ben Johnson who's bossed it against Man City and things like that, but he never really sort of you didn't look at him and think, my God, you've got someone like the level of Declan Rice or anywhere close.
No, agreed. I mean, Scarles is he made big impact in the Europa Conference League games, and yes, you're right. He's played the in some capacity of the last two pre-season games, so the friendlies, and yeah, he is definitely a prospect. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You can argue that he deserves to get some minutes this coming season. But in terms of an actual starter, or you could argue that Scarles could be a backup to Emerson
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, that's a good shout. Really good shout. But in terms of the right back position, yeah, it's worrying that two guys as it stands. People
And
watching
I,
this in
I
a couple of
think,
months' time, but could be saying something slightly different. But as it stands,
well,
these are
this is it. And I think you can upgrade on Sufal as well, as much as I like him and as good as he was in the last year. Now, who that player is, I don't know. But I think there's probably someone, who's, I don't know. David Moyes' team, though, is perfect for it, really, isn't he? So,
I mean, for me, my only criticism of Soufal is the way that he falls in the box. They have
yeah.
improved. They have improved,
Hmm.
but it's still not as pinpoint as we. He can do it. There's been a couple of times. I mean, I love him for his Antonio Upton Park style throw-ins. It's brilliant. I
Yes.
love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's another one of his qualities.
Yeah.
I do kind of think to a degree, and I hope to be proven wrong on this, but I do kind of think to a degree when it comes to Vlad is the fact that he was getting better because he knew we were in a good chance of him and Suchek playing at home soil. It just seemed to be too much of a coincidence that we started playing. He started
I
playing
think that's
really well the
very,
first.
very cynical, John.
Mate, you've known me how long?
Long enough not to be surprised. But
Exactly.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but God, if you could turn that magic on and off, do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, I agree. Do you know what? Just as sort of as a final thought on this, and I think you've got
Yeah.
it a little bit with Emerson. It'd be lovely to see some of the fullbacks pop up with a goal from time to time, wouldn't it? I can't really remember the last time we ever. And I know it's not a position that traditionally is banging them in, but. I'd love to see it's a good position. I used to play it when I played a bit of football. So always like to see him get on the score sheet.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I loved it when Creswell got his first assist. And it was just it was because again it is his hard work, and also like for example, what was it under Pellegrini, Chelsea away, that 1-0 victory. A
Okay.
few seasons ago, that was with Creswell and that run that he did for to score the only goal. That's the David Martin game that everybody refers to. You must remember that.
Okay. Yeah, I recall. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that goal that he scored against Chelsea was sublime. It really was good. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Something needs to happen. Okay, so the other part of that, of course, is the centre back positions. Now, obviously, Agued's contract doesn't run out until June 27.
God.
Kehrer is June 26th. Sorry, 3 years time, I should say. And Zuma has got another 2 years left, and Ogbonna, as we know, signed a 1-year extension. So, with 4 centre backs, are we okay, or do we need to reinforce them because at least 3 of those 4 are going to be picking up injuries, and obviously one is going to be not here next season, the end of next season?
Well, first, I think it's really interesting that we just had quite a long chat about the right back position and didn't mention Kera.
Well, because
Which I think,
as far as I'm concerned, he's a centre back. He
uh,
plays 10
do you
plus
know,
10.
it's so funny, absolutely, John, because one of the things that I remember most about sort of the season just gone is standing outside with you at half time going, he's not, at several games saying he
Yeah.
is not a fucking centre back. Right back, excuse me.
Yeah.
He is just whoa. Some of those performances there were pretty dire, and I can't really remember him having any good games at right back. I think there was some he got away, fine.
Well, some of them. I know the ones you're talking about, mate. I mean, some of them to a degree. I will play devil's advocate. Um, some of those were because him and Dawson didn't communicate properly. That was some of the issue. Not all of it, but
Listen,
there
don't
were
you go
some.
around criticising sainted Craig Dawson. If there was a player that I could bring back to solve any centre back crisis, that would be
Yeah.
the only sign that I'd make in centre back. Like, can we tempt back Big Craig? Um, yeah, no, okay, fair. But I take your point. I actually don't mind. I think he's a good centre back. Yeah, no, I will say I think he is a good centre back. I think he did have some good games there last season. I think he's got a really good range of pass on him. I don't think he's as good as Aguerd in that respect. I think we've actually got two, not physically or across all of their attributes similar, but I think in the terms of the way that they try to defend and the way that they try to be progressive as well, I think they're quite similar. But I think Aguerd is better. I'm not sure he's the complete package. Aguerd. The thing about Aguerd is I just keep thinking back to the World Cup. He was
Yeah, but we're not
phenomenal,
talking about that. We're talking about
but we're not. And
the
as you say,
60 odd
I
games
think
he played for.
maybe there
What
is
was
the
it? The
kind of
full.
magic that turns on in a World Cup. Whereas
Yeah.
maybe not so
Oh
much
yeah.
in
No.
cup runs. So, but I do rate him, and I think he definitely holds a spot down.
Mm.
I think Zuma definitely holds a spot down. The only thing that worries me about Kurt Zuma is the moment that guy retires, he's in a wheelchair, and I don't think that's going to be long now. The way that guy moves it's not right.
I mean, if you cast your mind back to the first game of the season, the first home game, where where Kera gave away that penalty was what something to do with it was because Zuma was injured in that game and he
Right.
wasn't tracking back properly. That's what I'm saying. There's
Yes.
for all the faults that Kera's got, he's not 100% to blame for a lot of them. Not all, the majority of them, yes, but there are a handful of games where you can say actually no, it was because of this, because of
Well,
that.
for sure, and definitely at centre back. Yeah, I just don't trust him at right back.
Mm.
But no, I mean, so Zuma and Aguerd, I think and I think they've formed a reasonable partnership. But it does worry me, Kurt Zuma, because I really do think he is just like a knock away from a career-ending injury at this point. I know I'm not a physiotherapist. I know nothing about the way that guy moves. Ogbonna, brilliant, love him. he's been with us for so long now. I loved Winston Reid, I have to say, but I've kind of like Bonner. He didn't score the last goal at Hudson Park, but has been around for a similar amount of time. I think maybe not quite so long, but has been so involved and so crucial over so many years now.
Yeah.
I think there was that season when he got injured and we just completely fell apart. So I definitely wouldn't look at getting shot of him. Keep him around. How old is he now, John? Bonner, he can't be young.
What? Ogbonna?
Yeah.
He's 29, 30, something like that.
Oh, really?
Mate, hang on. Let me have a look. Let me have a look. Double check
Have
it.
a
You tell
look,
me.
because I was thinking more like sort of mid 30s.
35. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're spot on there, mate.
35, right?
35. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to offer him a longer contract? Not necessarily.
Well, we can't really because we've offered him a 1 year extension and he's at the right.
What's that?
He said that he wants to retire with West Ham, and I think retiring at 36 is probably
Yeah.
going to be the perfect one for it.
Well, there you are then. So you've got 4 centre backs, and I think we're all agreed that they're all pretty decent. Some of them are very good, but might blow up next year.
So, but for me personally, yeah, I would bring another one in just to be on the safe side. So you've got that
Okay.
rotation of Ogbonna in the Cup, stroke Europe, and likewise with Kera, and then you can because you're absolutely right, mate. I reckon that the starting centre back pairing is going to be Aguerd and Zuma for most of the season. It was mine in my previews for most of last season, as was having Areola in goal, bar a couple of times. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because again, centre backs, yes, okay, they don't move around as much. They can be a little bit older, and it doesn't matter from that point of view. But at the same point, I mean, just going back to what you said about Ogbonna, he was a Bilic signing, if I remember correctly. I think he was one of the first Bilic players to come in.
Right.
He's been with us a little while. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously,
Yeah.
Winston Reid was a Avram
Great
Grant
seven. He's,
signing.
he's the kind of player that should get a testimonial if our owners too cheap to them. I've got a question for you, John.
Go, mate.
Am I right in saying that across every position that we've covered, you would strengthen?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Because there's one other position we need to talk about,
Oh,
which
right. Okay. Well, let's do that then.
is again a bit of a concern in terms of the right back position is defensive midfield because obviously we're talking about
Mm,
the defense in this game. Now, this video, the both players that as at the time of this recording are classed on transfer market as defensive midfielders are both Thomas Soucek and Connor Coventry, and they're both their contracts at the time of this recording expire by the end of June next year. Go.
well, so this is why I was asking you that question, really, and then the next one that I was going to ask, and I still might later, is how much money are you sort of throwing at those positions because we need a midfield. We don't really have one at the moment. Soucek is such an interesting player over the last few years. Has obviously had seasons where he's been phenomenal. Our top goal scorer, I think he was, and couldn't have imagined those seasons without him. But last season was not brilliant for him, to say the least. And I think really towards the tail end of last season, am I being fair? He
Yep,
kind of
spot on.
really fell off.
Well, no, actually,
And I have to
it
say,
was actually the other way round. Again, with the Arsenal home game, after that game, he actually did start picking his boots up properly and
oh right,
making
towards the
more than
very
four.
end of this season, yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely he did, yeah, but for
but
30 of
overall,
the
yeah,
38, he was pretty dire, I think, and I think it's so interesting with Rice leaving because we all know what a player Rice. I was going to say was. Funny you talk about the guy like he's dead. Um, what a fantastic
well,
player he is.
I mean, he's dead to a lot of people, unfortunately, now by the looks of
It's
things
going
over
to
the
be
last week or so.
heartbreaking watching him just nearly do it over the next 5 years. Do you know? It's such a shame. I have to
Yeah.
say, just to get my 2 pence in. Obviously, he was always going to leave us, but Arsenal, fucking hell. If you want to go and win trophies, Arsenal. But anyway, right. So it's almost like who knows what Thomas Soucek is like without Declan Rice. Declan Rice was such a complete player. You know, so what's Thomas Soucek like as a defensive midfielder without Declan Rice next to him? I don't know. What's he
Well,
like going forward without?
mate, we saw it because when Rice was bombing forward, Souček was very vulnerable. That was.
Well, that is true, but you know what else is true about that is Rice is the kind of guy that if you bomb forward and lost the ball, would bomb back and recover it.
Yeah.
So he's this is what I mean by he's like every was all at once, and Souček without that, ooh, could you play him as like some sort of, and again talking about a David Moyes team, not to give the impression that I hate David Moyes or anything, I don't, but he's a known quantity, isn't he? And he loves those Fellaini-esque players, of which Souček is just him without an afro, in many regards, isn't he? So you wouldn't put it past him to start him as a number 10, but I just I'm worried about that, to be perfectly honest with you. Coventry is a name that I think has been floating around forever on the fringes of the first team. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have to admit I don't watch a lot of the league team.
He's been a prospect for a long time, up until about a couple of years ago. I mean, let's not forget that he's 23 years old, so it's not like he's got time. Is past his new or anything.
Has he done loans and all that? Has he?
He was out, pretty much for the last
Where's he been?
3 or 4 loans. He did the Harry Kane style. Do you know what I mean? He was out on loan for pretty much everywhere. I mean, then he comes back, and then there's talk of him gonna try and fight for his place, and then he goes out on loan again, and then he comes back, and then the cycle just keeps repeating.
And I think that might be it. As horrible as it is to say, 23 years old in this sport is not a spring chicken, really, is it? How old's Declan?
24.
Right. And listen, it's not fair to compare every player to Declan Rice. Of course it isn't. But by the time you're 23, if you've got ambitions to be a Premier League player at that age, you've probably hit that wall. And not saying it will never happen for the lad if you drop down to the lad. If I'm not saying it wouldn't happen for him, if you drop down to the Championship or whatever and got a decent starting run in a team, he might stick around the Championship for a bit, or they might have a shoot up. Might be completely wrong, and he might drive him on a promotion charge. But exactly. I don't see him starting for West Ham next season. And I think this is why I asked that question, and then sort of where would you spend the money? Because I think if we're talking about, and who knows with our owners, we might have a transfer budget of 105 million. And if it's me and I'm splitting it down the middle. Let's get into so we've got to buy a whole new midfield, and it'll be horrible because they'll have to click and gel, and we'll probably leave it to the last day of the transfer window to buy either of them.
Guys, don't put comments down about him saying that, because the next video we're talking about the actual midfield. This is just focusing on defence at the minute, and that yes, we do have Bowen and Paquetá in there, mate. Remember?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, listen. I mean, Paquetá, fantastic.
We'll talk about that
defensive midfielder. No, I mean,
exactly.
Nice
exactly. Well, you could argue that his better position, Paquetá, is in the floating around in that number 8, number 10 position, but
I would agree. I'd put him in centre mid, absolutely. And you know what, his defensive work is fantastic. I think he puts in challenge after challenge, and I think he's really brilliant. So yeah, I think you absolutely could drop him down into that. Do you want him playing that sort of holding role? I think you want to give him a bit more freedom to get forward.
Exactly. So taking Urina Dennis out and getting back to the conversation that we were talking about. I mean, Coventry, for example, has gone on loan to, what was it? It was AFC Wimbledon at one point. Oh, sorry, or MK Dons. One of those two. And it was ripping it up really well. From he played in the Championship. He's played in League One. People have been loving him for it. But I said it last year. I said that this is this. When I say last year, I genuinely mean 12 months ago. That it's past his new for Coventry. I love him. I think he's fantastic. He's got a lot of Mark Noble's attributes and a little bit more hair than he has, but he's still got the same haircut as him. But at the end of the day, it's defensive midfield is very, very important. Now, to come into the question you were saying about the budget available, I was doing a bit of research on this because I still maintain what I said when I talked to Mark and Jeff. That was absolutely correct. That because the way that UEFA's financial fair play rules work is the fact that last season you could spend 100% of your income, and that's including transfer fees, that's including sponsorship deals, that's including season ticket money, merchandising, etc., etc. This time round, for this coming season, you'll get a warning if you spend more than well, I don't know if it's more than 90%, but it said the financial fair play rule is spending up to 90% of what your income is. Now, income's quite a grey area when it comes to football. That's the thing. So, but what I worked it out to be for the video that we did previously was I reckon that West Ham have got around about, without the Declan Rice money, I reckon we've got around about 110, 120 million pounds to play with before that extra money from Rice's deal, and of course, obviously, saving Lanzini's wages as well, for that matter, which we'll talk about when we do the midfield video. So you could argue, for example, if Sean Whetstone at WHU is correct, saying that we've received 33.33 recurring million pound from Arsenal, that leaves us around about, I'd say, let's take for argument's sake, let's say about £150 to play with. So that means we've got 135 million pounds to spend, and that's not just on transfers, that's including agent fees and wages as well. So you take that into consideration. It's not as small amount as money as everybody is trying to make it out. Because I saw apparently you did a video, a post on the website the other day, basically we're saying we're brassic as hell. We're not in any shape or form, but we're not exactly in a healthy position either. So to try and get at least 4 or 5 players just in that defensive line alone with that little budget. In terms of the Premier League, it's a little budget. We are really going to struggle. Without.
We are, and we're marked now because everyone knows that we've made a big transfer. So you're paying the tax on that as well as the Premier League tax. I mean, for me, the defence is one of those areas that we're quite fortunate that we don't need to look at too heavily, aside from a bit of a fullback issue. I think in terms of goalkeepers, we're covered. I think in terms of centre backs, we're covered. As people were saying, I think in terms of on the wings, we're covered. And I think in terms of attacking midfielders, we're covered. So for me, the money, isn't best spent across that defence, focused in on that fullback position. It's obviously another video, but just while I'm here, I will say that the forward position worries me at the moment. I rate Scamacca. I do. I really hope he comes through.
We will talk about that when we do the forward video.
Well, you
mate,
will.
Don't worry.
But I'd look at spending a little bit there, but for me, it's the rest of the midfield, and I think you can pretty much leave the defence alone, fullback issue aside.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, Lawrence. As I say, we'll be doing 2 other episodes. The next one is going to be in the midfield, and the final one is going to be the attacking positions as well, which will hopefully bring us nicely, because by the time that mini series is done, then will take us in nicely to be at the start of the almost the start of the Premier League. So it's nice little content for us to be able to do. But Lawrence, thank you very, very much for your time, mate. It's been much appreciated to have you on. It's been good to hear your insights. Not that dissimilar to what I thought we were going to talk about, to be fair. But no, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on, mate, and thank you to everybody that's lasted on the video. Put your comments in the comment section below as always. Let us know what you're thinking on this. Do you agree with us? Do you think that do you agree with Lawrence, or do you agree with me, where I feel we should bring in at least one just as a backup for injury problems? Or do you think that these are positions that are absolutely fine? Let us know in the comment section below. But in the meantime, guys, look after yourselves. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon. All the best now. Take care.